Yes, people, Ricky here from Behind the Bars TV. In this episode, we have Rick all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada, and he's going to tell us about his time spending time in maximum security prisons in Las Vegas. So, Rick, how we doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Glad we got together.
Yeah, nice one. But obviously, Rick's got his own YouTube channel, and this is how I came across him, called Vegas Prison Stories. I'll put the links in the description, so if you're all going, give him a follower and have a look at his stories. He's got some really interesting and good quality stories. So, Rick, so where were you born, Rick, and where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Mississippi, in an orphanage in Mississippi. And when I was 15, we got out of there. My dad had gotten us out of there, and then he was killed in a car accident. And then we moved to Las Vegas because we had heard that his sister might live out there. And me, my sister, brother, we moved out there. And that's when it all started, you know.
That's when it all
15,
started.
yeah.
So what was life like growing up in an orphanage?
We had fields, and we would pick peas, and we raised our own cattle and pigs, and I mean it was crazy. There was about 30 of us in there, and most of us still talk to this day. And a lot of hard work, a lot of manual, hard labor. But
yeah,
that was late 80s, early 90s. Things were a lot different back then.
So what is an orphanage? Is it like just like a big home?
Yeah, it's like a home for children. Yeah, that some of the kids were there because they were bad. Some of the kids were there like us because our parents couldn't take care of us.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford it. So it was better to be put into a home than be homeless,
So were you well looked after in the orphanage then?
Yes. The women that raised us I talk to them all the time, and they're in their 80s now. And like one of the women, she calls my daughter her daughter. I've taken all my family out there to see the home, to meet the women that raised me. So it was decent. It wasn't as bad as it sounds.
Because a lot of times when you hear about kids being brought up in places like homes and orphanages, you normally hear like bad stories, don't you? But it's good to hear a story like yourself where you haven't been mistreated.
Yeah, no, they were good to us. They were really good to us. And I mean, there were a lot of bad kids there, and we did a lot of bad stuff while we were there. Of course, put 30 kids together, there's bound to be trouble.
I bet. So if you don't mind us asking, why was it you got put like in an orphanage?
So my mother had left my father and moved us clear across the country and lost contact with my father. He didn't know where we were. The man that she left my father for up and left. My mother had no job. She had no family. She didn't know anybody. This is where his family was from.
Yeah.
So she found that. It's called the Mississippi Baptist Children's Home. And she put us in there. It was only supposed to be for a few months, and then it turned into maybe it'll be, a year or two. And then it finally turned into, 5-6 years down the road. My father found us, got us out of there. But then, like I said, he was killed in a car accident shortly after.
Wow, so that must have been a tragic, massive impact on your life, that.
Yeah, that one was rough. That was rough.
What age were you then?
I was 15 when my dad died.
15.
Yeah.
So when you're at that age as well, obviously, you look up to your father, you want a father figure around, so that must have been devastating for you.
Yeah, it was rough. It's, and I don't think about it too much anymore because it happened in 95. Like, I've had enough time to cope with it and just move on with my life. But there's still the times where I'm like, man, I wish my dad got to meet my daughter or my sons, or my wife, any of that. So
then what else happened around about that age, and where did you go from there?
So we went to Vegas. We found my dad's sister, and we lived with them for a little while. And then my older sister and myself, we started really running the streets hard. Uh, we were basically we were thrown to the wolves, and we were crazy. I mean, we were doing it. I was stealing cars at like 16, 17, and did that all the way up till I was 27, 28 the last time they busted me for it. And we robbed casinos. We robbed a train one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we were just doing crazy stuff.
It sounded like you had no fear then,
No, no, no.
huh? And do you think that was because of what happened, like with your dad and stuff, your father, where you
It's
just,
possible. It might just be genetic, though. My
yeah,
daughter is the same way. She's crazy. She doesn't fear anything.
right. So I can't imagine like living in Las Vegas and living that sort of lifestyle, because when we was the same age, we were doing similar things, going off the rails. But Las Vegas is just like something different, isn't it?
It's a beast.
Yeah.
And it's 24-hour town. You can get yourself into something real quick in Las Vegas.
So how
And
far did you live from like like the main strip and everything, where all the casinos?
um probably about 4 miles.
Is
Yeah,
it
not too
surrounded
far.
by loads of neighborhoods?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the strip is, for us, we don't really go to the strip very much, or we didn't. It's kind of off limits. There's a bunch of cops there, the tourists. It's a bad look. The cops do
Yeah.
not want people robbing tourists. So it's kind of a well kept thing in the Vegas underworld, at least. Kind of stay away from the strip. And we would rob, the ditzy neighborhoods, car dealerships, all types of things.
Yeah. Because like you say, obviously people like myself over here who have never been to Vegas, when you see it on the TV and stuff, you just think of the strip and nothing else. But I have seen
Yeah.
documentaries. I think it was a Louis Theroux documentary I seen when it took you into the neighborhoods, and it was quite rough.
Las Vegas is a weird, weird place when it comes to, every neighborhood is a bad neighborhood and every neighborhood is a good neighborhood. It's very weird. You can have, $1 million homes backed right up to ghetto, just where we live. And like there is no cookie cutter spot. There is now, I guess. There's Summerlin and some of Henderson, but it's a small town too. And people don't understand that. You could drive across Las Vegas in like 20 minutes, half hour.
What, the whole place, yeah?
So yeah, from one end of the mountain to the next mountain.
Crazy, yeah.
Hmm.
So is the neighborhood quite a big neighborhood, is it? Or was it like separated into different ones?
So for our neighborhood, I mean, it wasn't a big neighborhood. It was about 5 streets compact into a housing development, basically.
Yeah.
For us, I would say there's probably about 10 to 12
Right.
uh, where we all were doing wild stuff, getting arrested, doing the most.
Was there a lot of drugs around at the time?
Absolutely. We were doing a lot of drugs. We had one of the top drug dealers was my friend's father who lived in the neighborhood. We called him Pops. And yeah, Pops had gotten raided. And then we found Pops. He was gone. I don't know if I don't want to say it on YouTube. He
Yeah.
offed himself basically. And we
Right.
found him.
So,
So I mean,
yeah. So is that when, obviously, from the age of 15, is that when you started using drugs?
yeah, I mean, using drugs was real easy. It didn't take much talking me into doing it. Uh, what else did I have to, like I didn't have anything else to do. What else was I gonna do? Of course I'll do those.
So what sort of drugs was it? That was the end thing at the time?
Oh man, we would do everything from ecstasy to methamphetamines to coke to anything. I haven't smoked crack. and I haven't done acid, and that's about all I haven't done.
Yeah. It's a similar over here when we were kids. We were doing the same, smoking, started off with a weed, then onto amphetamine, then onto ecstasy. But I noticed over like in America and Las Vegas and stuff, there's a lot of methamphetamine, isn't there?
A lot, a lot. It's everywhere.
You don't really hear of it over here in England.
Really.
But
I wonder, I mean, the ingredients are pretty easy to come by. At least they used to be,
yeah.
especially in the mid to late 90s. You could just walk in and get, you know, just about everything you needed
So
from
what was,
Walgreens and
so what was the effects like of taking methamphetamine then?
so at first it was a lot of fun, actually. It was a lot of fun to do. We stayed up all night. We'd stayed up for a week and we'd just go out every night. We'd steal cars or rob houses or, but it was a lot of fun to it. Then I don't know, that stuff wears on you. It wears on your brain. It messes you up. And then it stops being fun.
Does it keep you awake for days, that stuff? Does it
Yes,
keep yeah?
yes. I've been awake for like 10 straight days easy on it.
Yeah. Oh, mad.
Yeah.
I bet you were hallucinating after that.
Oh yeah, you start to see things out of the corner of your eye. You're like, what was that? Like
crazy.
they're like, go to bed.
So so when was the first time you got in trouble with the law then, with the police?
Oh, at 18. At
18?
18 years old.
Yeah.
I got arrested at 18 for, I believe it was a grand larceny and conspiracy that goes along with it. Because in Las Vegas, they throw conspiracy on everything. Then I got arrested at 19 and 20 for similar charges. I'd done a probation on the first one. And then the second one I did time on, I got a 1 to 5 on. And then I stayed out of trouble. I had kids and I was raising my kids, but break up with the wife. She leaves, takes the kids. What am I going to do? I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing before. So
how old were you when you
got caught up.
When you got your
I'm
first
sorry?
When you got your first prison sentence? How old were you?
About 20
20.
when I walked into prison.
And that, was it, a 1 to 5, did you say?
Yeah, 1 to 5. They do everything in months. In Las Vegas, they don't speak in years. They do it like the feds do.
Right.
So it's 12 to 60.
Oh, right, got you. So what was that like your first time going into prison?
It wasn't bad. Like for most people, and I know I should be on YouTube saying, "Oh man, don't go to prison," which I do. Do not go to prison.
Yes, of course.
But I haven't ever had a bad prison like time. I've always been accepted into certain groups. I've always, my mind works in a very sharp manner. Kind of always been an asset in prison, so it was never hard. And I'm a big guy, so
Well, that goes a long way, doesn't it? If obviously you're a big lad, not a lot of people want to mess with you, does it?
yeah, exactly.
So how many prisons is there in Las Vegas?
So they're not directly in Las Vegas.
All right.
There are 2 of them that are about 40 miles north of Las Vegas in a place called Indian Springs, Nevada. And they have Southern Desert Correctional Center and High Desert Correctional Center. And you could throw a rock from one and hit the yard on the other. They're that close.
Right.
And then up north, we have, we had NSP, Nevada State Prison. That just shut down. And we have Northern Nevada Correctional Center, Warm Springs Correctional Center, Ely, Maximum Security, and Lovelock. So there's 6 prisons.
6 prisons, right.
Mm-hmm.
So the categories over there are different, aren't they? Like over in England, it's like category A, which is maximum security, category B, which is similar, Cat C,
Mm-hmm.
medium, and Cat D, which is low. So how does it work over there? Is it one? Does it go in numbers?
It goes in numbers. It's level 1 through 4. And then there's closed custody on top of that, which would be level 5, but they don't call it level 5. They just call it closed custody. I've done all of my time in level 4, and that's 23-hour lockdown, except for 90 days of my last sentence. I actually got moved to a level 3 where I had like 6 to 8 hours a day out. And it was very strange to me.
So on your first arrival to prison, and you're obviously level 4 security, 20-year-old, going through
Mhm.
reception, getting processed, what was the procedure like going through there?
So the COs are they're I haven't been to other prisons, so I can't compare them. But in my mind, these people have to be the worst in the country. They're just, they do all this screaming and rah rah. They had us put our hands all the way up on the wall and just left us there for like an hour. And they said, if your hands come down, we're going to take it as an act of aggression and we're going to act accordingly. And then the kid next to me actually dropped his arms and they picked him up, dipped him. So we go through all that. They shave your face, your head, throw delousing powder on you, take your picture, ask you if you need to go into PC for any reason, and then they ship you down to the fish tank.
So it sounds quite brutal, and doesn't it, on first arrival?
Yeah, it's a process. That first day is I mean, once you come back though, and the COs recognize you, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Or if you're put in security threat group, which is like a validated gang member, then they tend not to do all that yelling at you because it might cost them down the road.
So is there a lot of, is all the prisons in Nevada like gangs? Is it
Pretty
separated
much.
into
Pretty
races?
much.
Is it separated
It's separate.
into races? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We have uh, the whites or the woods and the southern Mexicans or Sureños. We run together. The Paisas kind of run under the Sureños, and they're Mexican-born national Mexicans. The Sureños are basically American-born Mexican gangsters, basically. Then there's the black car. Then there's the others, which is like the Native American, the Polynesian, Pacific Islanders, things like that. And for us, the woods and the Sureños, we have our own showers, we have our own phones that we use, we have our own tables. Nobody else from a different race is going to use any of that, or else it's going to be war.
So which gang's like the superior?
My gang, the Aryan warriors.
Right.
Yeah.
So on your arrival after you've been to reception going in, how does that work then? Do you go onto the house block?
So you get sent to what's called the fish tank, which is just an intake, and that's where they classify you. My classifications usually take about 2.5 weeks because there's no glory to, hey, all right, he's a wood, put him with the woods.
Yeah.
It's that easy. If they have to dig deeper into you, or like I have wood tattooed on the back of my arm. So if I went in and said, no, I'm not a wood, then I'm going to sit in classification forever while they figure out if I'm a wood or not. So I'm usually in there for about 15 days, and then I get kicked out to the main line.
Yeah. So what's that like going on to there then?
The main line. So when my first term is scary, you hit the yard and you're young, and it's in your mind, oh, I have to fight right away, or I have to try and prove myself. And that's not the way to go in prison. People will always respect you for who you are. You don't have to act tough when you walk into prison. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I go in, I'm picking fights with the biggest guys I can find. And they're like, what are you doing? Stop acting like that, you know?
So did you know people from the streets, and when you went in, did you have friends in there? So
Absolutely.
so it goes a long way, that, doesn't it? Obviously.
It goes a really long way. When you get there, they give you food, they give you, hygiene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, obviously you've just been at that age, being in that mindset, you wouldn't have been, didn't give a fuck, did you really?
It didn't matter to me. Being in prison, being on the streets,
Yeah.
it was all the same.
So how long did you serve on that first time then?
I did the 12 months on that one.
Yeah.
Half of it basically was awaiting sentencing. So, I mean, I got out of the fish tank. I was there for a few months. Then I was kicked out on parole. And then the next one, I got arrested in '06 for a stolen car in Henderson. And in the middle of '07, I get out and I get caught 2 weeks later in another stolen car in Las Vegas. So they tied both of those together, send me to prison. I get out in '08 on parole, violate that parole for not testifying in a case that I was subpoenaed to. I just ran. I'm not testifying against anybody ever. And so they catch up with me in '09, and I did '09 and 10 on that. So, I've did 16 months plus another 12 months on the last one. So, it's just, I was doing life on the installment plan.
You were doing what, sorry?
I was doing a life sentence on the installment plan.
Right.
Yeah.
What happened with that one then?
I finally finished the second parole on the same case, which is crazy. Out again, and I know that they just wanted me to abscond like I did before and violate my parole.
Yeah.
But this time I was just done. I was 31, 32 years old. I turned 20 in prison. I turned 30 in prison.
Yeah.
And I'm good, man. I don't want to do this anymore.
So just going back to the prisons and stuff, just talk a little bit about like the violence and drugs inside of prison. What
There's a lot of both.
is there much murders happening in the prisons over there?
Yes, there's a lot of that, and I do stories on that on my channel.
Yeah.
People with bad charges right away, they're a target, and we're trying to get them instantly. There's a lot of stabbings that go on in Nevada prisons. Probably about 10 deaths a year, so maybe once a month. Once every month in a week or something like that. It's the drugs. The drug scene is what causes all of that.
Yeah.
So it goes hand in hand.
And does it happen race on race, or is it in the own races, or is it both?
Both. Usually it's more dangerous when we're going to war with another race, because it's more dangerous for everybody as a whole, obviously. And when you're about to attack somebody in your own car for doing something wrong, for violating the rules, you can kind of control when it's going to go down, how it's going to go down, who's going to be involved, things like that. It's not as big a deal as anybody would think it would be. Basically, it's compressed into this little area. This is what we're doing. This is who we're going to lose to go to the hole, things like that. When we have to fight another race, all bets are off. You don't know. We each have an assignment when we're on the yard. If there's a big guy, I'm a big guy. Me and my cellie, that's our guy. If anything pops off, that's the guy that we have to go get. I don't care if you got to run clear across the yard to get him. So you better stay close to your guy. And that's kind of how we do it in Nevada. But the whole yard's fighting each other.
Yeah.
So that's scary. And then the COs, up until a few years back, they were shooting live birdshot and buckshot rounds at us all the time. I mean, every couple of days they were shooting at us. We were laying the yard down. They took people's legs. I got hit right there by a ricochet when they fired into the metal sally port that we were all in. I mean, it was crazy. So if the guy you're fighting isn't trying to kill you, the cops definitely are.
That's crazy, that, like, totally different to what happens in the prisons over here. But I watched a documentary about a lad called Troy Kill.
Absolutely.
After a massive story over there, wasn't it? Was it about 20 years ago?
Yeah, it was probably a little bit more, maybe 25 years ago. He he was running around with this girl. She got time too. I think she just got out. She had said that this guy had done something to her or something like that, and Troy took him to the desert and did him in. Now Troy was really close. I've tried to get in touch with him because we were part of the same group, but he was really close with one of the original starters of our group, who turned out to be all bad, and we had to remove. So being able to talk to him, but yeah, man, that guy was crazy. Those are the type of people you do not want to be in prison with.
It's just for the viewers that haven't seen it. There's a documentary on YouTube about Troy Kill. He's in one of the prisons in Nevada, and he killed a black inmate. And they put it down. Was it a race attack? Wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
There was two inmates. Troy and another inmate killed the other black inmate, and it was all on camera, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all on camera. They did it for 6 or 7 minutes. I don't even know how many times they hit him. One guy's laying on his legs, and Troy was just. That's the most brutal hit that I think I've ever seen, either live or on camera. That was probably the worst hit of all time.
So Troy will be in solitary confinement, is he, for the rest of his life?
Yeah, now he's in Utah. He got transferred out of Nevada. He's in Utah, and I believe he got the death penalty.
Did he? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll probably not be allowed any contact with the other inmates, will he?
Yeah, we still talk to people on death row.
Right.
There's still, if there is any type of porter that goes in to clean the place, if there's anybody moving the food, any of that,
Yeah.
messages and drugs, and it's all going to be passed.
Yeah.
Or a dirty CO for that matter.
So obviously, when you went to prison, obviously because of your color, you're white, you've got to join them sort of gangs.
Absolutely.
What about since like you've come out on the outside? Are you still like that, or are you?
So here's the thing: in Nevada, we don't have like everybody thinks of the Aryan Brotherhood. Sorry, we war with the Aryan Brotherhood in the feds.
Right.
The Aryan Warriors do not like the Aryan Brotherhood, and vice versa. They're on skinhead politics. We're not on skinhead politics. We're not racist. In Las Vegas, it is chopped up into race, but it's not on a true racist, I hate you because of your skin color type of deal. And that's why we went to war with the Aryan Brotherhood, because we're like, hey man, we'll hang out and talk to whoever we want to hang out and talk to. We're not with all that you can't talk to somebody Rudy Poo stuff. So it's not really like that so much. You can have passing conversations with other races and you're fine. You can't eat after each other or smoke after each other. You can't really have a black man in your cell. That's a bad look.
Yeah.
Things like that. You can't accept any food from another race unless it's sealed. That type of thing.
So it's all just like prison politics, everyone sticking to that one.
It keeps it. I would rather do it that way than say on the East Coast, where I've heard it's a free for all and nobody helps anybody. And at the end of the day, there's kids that they're weak. They are weak, and they come into prison and they're preyed upon. And we just don't allow that. You're
Yeah.
not going to prey on this kid because he's weak. We're going to take him under our wing, and we're going to protect him.
Yeah. So obviously, when was, like you said, were you 31 when it was the turning point when you thought, and what happened?
Yeah.
Were you in prison when you thought like this is enough for me? And
No,
what?
I was out of prison. I was on parole. I had met my current wife, and I left the woman that I was with at the time. Left her, never talked to her again. Uh, and when I got off parole, we left Nevada, and now I'm in Florida. You have to remove yourself from the environment.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can actually change.
So it seems like, obviously, listening to your story when you're telling us, as soon as you went to Las Vegas, Nevada, things just went tits up.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I still go back a lot.
Yeah.
I go back. I have friends. I have sons that live in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So I go back 3 times a year, and it's cool. I'm there just long enough to say hi to who I want, play a little bit of poker, have a couple drinks with friends, have some dinner, get on a plane, and get out of there.
So we're just going there for a holiday.
That's it. Don't go there and try and live and be a part of the street life, because it is, you really got to have your balls on tight for that.
Well, it's one place where I've always wanted to go myself, or these casinos and stuff, but I'm not allowed to come in. I'm banned from America. If you've got
See,
a
I think,
conviction and you're still on license, you can't travel to America. It's crazy.
I think, I've been off parole for almost 10 years now. They actually granted me a passport about 5 years ago. I haven't used it yet. I've gone on cruises to like Belize and stuff like that, but I didn't need my passport for that. I don't know if I can go to the UK. I don't know if they'll let me in.
I'm not sure. If you're not on parole anymore, I think you might be okay.
Okay. And then I heard it's certain charges. If you have like international trafficking charges or something, you're not getting in,
I don't think
things like that.
so. When you left prison for the last time, did you move straight away from Nevada, or were you there for?
No. So they granted me a second parole on the same case. And they gave me 13 more months of parole. I told them I didn't want the parole. It was only going to mean me staying in prison for like 4 or 5 more months, and then I would get out and be clean. I wouldn't be on paperwork at all. Of course, they give me parole because that's their way of keeping their thumb on me for another over a year. So I did it. I did everything I was supposed to. I did it with my parole officer telling me he was going to put me back, telling me, hey, I know people like you. You're not going to make it on parole. I'm putting you in prison.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, he was super cool. So, and then the day I got off parole, I left Nevada. So 13 months after walking out of prison, I left Nevada, and I'll never go back there to live.
So how come you ended up in Florida?
My wife is a specialty nurse, and these hospitals, they come looking for her. And so we've lived in LA, we've lived in Phoenix, we've lived in Houston, and now we're in Florida. And a lot has to do with where we want to raise our daughter, because we weren't expecting to have another kid. At 40 years old, here we are having a kid.
Yeah.
So
your wife expecting now, is she?
No. This was a few years ago. So at
Already.
38, she had our daughter, and our daughter is 4 years old now. So
Got you.
yeah.
So do you think having a woman by your side and your children has made you
A million.
see sense?
1,000,000%. If I tried to finish my parole with the woman that I was with when I went to prison all those times, I would have gone back to prison. A strong-willed woman who it doesn't try and force you into anything, but kind of steers you
Yeah,
in the right direction, is invaluable. Uh, and having a strong woman behind me is absolutely the reason why I've changed my life.
absolutely. Exactly the same with me. I'm 37 now, but I think it takes until you get into your late 30s to actually realize what life is all about, doesn't it?
Yes.
Living that high life, taking drugs, getting into fights, hurting people. It doesn't last forever, does it?
No,
Things
no.
drop
And
down.
now I look back at all the stuff that I did and I'm like, would I ever, would I ever have the balls to do that again? You know, it was so crazy. Like it's movie style stuff that we were doing. And it just seems like a different life.
It does. Like you say, looking back on it now, being high on drugs and doing the things that you were doing, you must be thinking, feels like somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what was the craziest thing that you done when you were younger?
Oh man. Uh
Just pick one of the many.
the oh man. The robbing the casinos at gunpoint was a pretty bad one.
Right.
Uh Probably the train. The train by far. We uh we jumped on a stop train at state line between California and Nevada. Get all the way down, almost into Las Vegas, open the cart up and start throwing all the boxes out that they were shipping. And had to jump off the moving train.
So you'd done it as it was moving.
Yeah. Yeah. That one was pretty rad.
Yeah.
Um yeah, that one was pretty nuts. The casinos, those got boring after a while though. You're just kind of like doing it, going through the motions of it, if that makes sense. It's weird.
So were you running around
Oh
with
man.
were you running around with guns at that time as well?
Always.
Always, aye.
Always.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
guns that America doesn't have anywhere.
Yeah. There you guys aren't even, you're not allowed to have, you
If
know.
you with a gun over here, you get an automatic 5 year for a banned firearm.
See, that's, but I mean, that just, what that means, people just kind of stab each other more, right?
There's a lot of stabbings going on compared to the violence side guns.
Yeah.
But if you kill somebody with a gun over here as well, I think the starting point is an automatic 35 years, so it's a minimum of 35.
Wow. Do you guys have life sentences out there?
We've got life sentences, yeah. If you kill somebody, it's like a mandatory life sentence. I'm serving an IPP sentence, which is a same as a life sentence, an indeterminate sentence. When I was 20 year old, I got
Mm,
IPP with a 99-year license, so I'm on parole for 99 years.
wow.
Yeah, but you've also got like a whole life sentence as well, where if you kill one person, do prison, come out, kill another, you get life without parole.
Man, that's rough.
So what about the gun
That's
charge? If you get caught with a gun in Las Vegas, what happens then? What's the charge? What's the sentence?
uh it would be ex felon possession of a firearm. And in Las Vegas, usually if it's your first one, you can get 12, you a 1 to 5, you'll get a 12 to 60 or a 12 to 36 even I've seen. Um then the feds can pick it up. And if the feds pick it up, you're going to do 1 or 2 years in the feds up to 5 years. So it just depends on who wants to pick up that charge. But thank God I never, as an ex felon, got caught with a firearm because that enhances everything. You're just you're getting that time.
Yeah. So a famous rapper was shot in here, Las Vegas, wasn't he? Tupac.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Were you when that happened?
It was 1996, and I was in Las Vegas for a couple of years, probably a year and a half when that happened. And I just talked to the first officer on the scene, the man that held Tupac, and the last person to speak to Tupac.
Yeah, crazy.
Mm.
So how old were you at that point then?
What's that?
How old were you at the time?
16.
16, all right. So that must have been massive news over there.
It was huge. It was monster news. And when it happened, then we kept hearing, oh, he's getting better, he's getting better. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's dead. We're like, so of course everybody thought it was a conspiracy.
But was there a lot of retaliation shootings at the time?
So that was a LA beef that just spilled into Las Vegas. That was Orlando Anderson is a member of a black group in Compton, I believe. And then Tupac, was a West Coast rapper out of California. And they just happened to run into each other that night. They beat up Orlando Anderson in the casino. Later on that night, Orlando Anderson found out where they were and went and shot the car up.
Did he get charged with the shooting? I don't think anyone was ever charged with it.
Never charged. Orlando Anderson's been killed. He was shot at a car wash a couple of years ago.
Did he? Right.
Yeah.
Crazy stories, huh?
It's nuts. And Las Vegas is getting even more wild. We have people running down the street, stabbing people. We have the shooting, the Route 91 shooting, where the guy was in the Mandalay Bay and he's firing down onto the concert, the country concert. That was horrible.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
So what are you doing with your life now then? In Florida?
So I've been a bartender for the last 10 years. And now I'm doing YouTube.
Right, nice one.
Yeah.
Do you drink much when you're in the bar?
Yeah, probably more than I should, for sure.
So what's your favorite drink then?
Southern Comfort and Coke.
Oh, Southern Comfort. I used to like that with lemonade.
Yeah, it's nice and sweet. Oh, with lemonade? I bet that's good.
So all right, actually, Southern Comfort lemonade.
Yeah.
So it's Florida. What's that like?
It's really nice. There's hurricanes and there's alligators and snakes and lizards, but it's nice. I like it.
Yeah. So it seems like you're living happily. You've got a nice life, lovely wife, kids.
Yes.
Couldn't ask for anything,
it's
really.
I won't do anything to mess it up, and I couldn't ask for anything better. We have a nice family. We have a nice home, a couple of nice cars. Both of us work.
So how long
And
have
we're
you
just
been
raising our family.
Sorry. So how long have you
go
been
ahead.
doing your YouTube videos?
Like 6 or 7 months now, maybe 8 months.
Yeah.
I think 6 or 7. Yeah.
Because I think I was just scrolling through YouTube one day and it popped up vegan prison story. So obviously I clicked on it, had a look, and enjoyed your content. Good stuff. And
Thank you. It's a work in progress. It's getting a lot better as I learn.
It
I like it.
Took me. I've been on it about just over a year and a half, but I've only been doing the prison stories about 8 months. And the subscribers have flew up in the last 8 months.
Yeah. I've been watching you too, and it's like, oh man. I'm happy. I'm almost at 5,000 subs in the first 6 months. I got monetized in 24 days of starting YouTube.
Yeah, all good.
And I have a small group of YouTube channels. We all kind of hang out together, and that's Big Weavy over at Weavy's World, and myself and Gangish at Fake News with Gangish. He's awesome. If you haven't checked him out, he does all the he digs into the world news and just debunks it all. It's hilarious. But so we have our own small group, and we're all coming up together. All
right, champion. I'll check them out.
Yeah.
Like I say, for me subscribers, head over to Vegas Prison Stories, have a look at his channel, see what it's about. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. But have you got anything you would like to?
No, this was awesome. I'm glad that you reached out. I'm glad that we finally got to talk. This is awesome, and I can't wait to see it.
But what I'll do is on all of my podcasts, I always finish with one question at the end or ask you something, which is, what would you say to the kids now going off the rails, going on the same route that me and yourself went down? What advice would you give them?
You've never met an old crook that got away with it. You've never met an old criminal who retired off of doing crime. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. There's no sustainability in it. You know, real life, work a job, get a family, go do nice things, go on cruises, go to Disneyland with your kids. You know, it's just not worth it. It's all bad memories.
Bang on, mate. Absolutely bang on. Like it's just saying there, that's what life's all about, isn't it? Spending time with your loved ones and having fun. Not looking over
Yes,
your shoulder all the time, worrying about what's happening next, whether the police are coming for you, where you're going to be sitting in a cell for the next 5 years. It's no life, is it?
it isn't.
No.
It isn't.
Well, Rick, we're going to leave that there for now. But thanks very much, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. This was very awesome.